So let's talk about what's going on in Afghanistan. We have some breaking news that came in a couple of hours ago with regards to Kabul and the current Afghan government and its president. But first, let's kind of do a recap, which kind of lets us know how we got to where we are. And then at the end of the video, we'll break things down and see what the hell went wrong, or try to explain what's going on in Afghanistan. So it was a big week for the Taliban. They captured the southern provincial capital of Kandahar, the second largest city, on Friday. They also took control of the airport in Kunduz. They seized all types of military equipment, UAVs, Humvees, all kinds of stuff. This was left behind by the Afghan government troops. These were the same forces that were supposedly trained by the US military. They just left all this stuff behind. The Taliban took control of all of it. They put up videos. You'll see the videos right here of them taking over these helicopters, riding in these Humvees. It's all over social media. The Taliban also had a pretty big PR win last week. They took over many of the homes that were controlled by these Afghan warlords. And these warlords were aligned with the United States. And these guys were really living it up. And so you'll see a video right now of one of the homes from an army marshal, a close ally of the US, Abdul Rashid Dostum. And this guy was a warlord in Afghanistan that controlled all kinds of land around the country. And basically what the Taliban is doing here is they're exposing the corruption of these Afghan officials and these warlords. They're showing how they lived. Here you can see the Taliban fighters. They're hanging out on this incredible furniture. They're eating food. They're drinking. They're enjoying themselves in the home of this Afghan warlord. I mean, this guy's house is like something out of MTV Cribs. What the Taliban is doing is they're highlighting the corruption that took place over 20 years, and they're also kind of exposing where the $1 trillion US went that was spent in Afghanistan, or at least a small part of that $1 trillion USD. Basically, a lot of this money that was US taxpayer money was being siphoned off by these warlords, and look at how they were living. So the Taliban is they're working their PR angle as well. And this guy Dostum, he left his home, he fled the country supposedly. Who knows where he is, but I'm sure there's an EU country or the United States somewhere, maybe Latin America. Someone somewhere will give him refuge. They will provide this guy refuge. But the warlords, they've all gone. They've split. And the Taliban fighters are exposing their corruption. So it was a big week for the Taliban, a really big week. In total, they captured 12 provinces, 2 provincial capitals, and that brings us now to Kabul, where they have the city surrounded, and they are launching an assault. But, and here's the but, they are also engaged in talks with the current government for a peaceful surrender of the city. So the Afghan Interior Ministry said that Taliban fighters were advancing on Kabul from all sides. The Afghan capital is fully encircled, according to the Interior Ministry. And Afghan's acting Interior Minister said that a transfer of power will happen peacefully. He said security forces will remain in the streets to ensure Kabul's security. A transitional administration will be formed in Afghanistan. This is what the Minister of the Interior said, according to quotes via Reuters. We also have unnamed Afghan officials confirming to the Associated Press that the militants have been spotted in the outskirts of Kabul. The Taliban said it had instructed its fighters to refrain from violence in the capital and allow safe passage to people who chose to leave the city. The Taliban also said in a statement they had no plans of taking Kabul by force, and they confirmed that they started talks with the Afghan government on a peaceful surrender of Kabul. And now we have the breaking news. The breaking news is that the Afghan president, Ashraf Ghani, has left Afghanistan. This paves the way for the Taliban to stroll into the city and just take it over in its entirety. Game over. Game, set, match. So Ghani allegedly fled the Afghan capital on Sunday. They said he fled with close aides and allies. This is according to an Afghan news channel. They're citing two sources familiar with the matter. The Taliban is also looking into this, and they're trying to confirm the reports that the president has left the country. A Russian source, RIA Novosti news agency, said that President Ghani had fled to Tajikistan and he would soon travel to a third country. Once again, what country will provide him refuge? Some country in Europe, Latin America, the US. Someone will give President Ghani a home. Maybe he'll end up in London. So what's going on the US side of things? Well, US diplomats were evacuated from the embassy in Kabul's Green Zone by helicopter on Sunday. It was a Saigon moment. The US State Department, get this, the US State Department offered loans to buy plane tickets to Americans in Afghanistan who needed to get out. I imagine these are Americans who are not situated in the Green Zone. And the State Department made it clear that they will provide loans to buy plane tickets for those Americans to get out. But they also said that the Americans in Afghanistan should not expect much more than those tickets, which are, by the way, being bought on loan. So there you have the statement from the State Department. They said, given the security conditions and reduced staffing, the embassy's ability to assist U.S. citizens in Afghanistan is extremely limited, even within Kabul. Among the dangers, according to the State Department, among the dangers that Americans in Afghanistan face, we have, and I'm quoting here, crime, terrorism, civil unrest, kidnapping, armed conflict, and the coup. No mention of the Taliban in that quote of the dangers, by the way, for Americans in Afghanistan. But, of course, one of the dangers in Afghanistan right now for Americans is the coup. I hope that the Americans that are fleeing Afghanistan and actually take up the State Department on their loaning the money for airplane tickets, I hope they got the shot. I wonder if the planes are going to allow the Americans who are fleeing Afghanistan to board the plane if they didn't get the shot, or if they don't provide a passport, a coup passport. Just a thought. A NATO official told Reuters that EU staff members have also been moved to an undisclosed, safe location within the city of Kabul. That's interesting. So EU staff members are somewhere in Kabul. They have not left the country yet. Here's something else that's interesting. According to RT, Russia said that it wasn't planning to evacuate its mission from Kabul, as the Taliban promised to ensure the safety in their operations of all foreign diplomats and aid workers in the country. How about that? So the Russians are staying, and the Taliban has ensured their safety and security. So, as all of this is going down, President Biden is in Camp David on vacation. But of course, as Reuters is reporting, he's in full communication with all parties. The Commander-in-Chief, Mr. Biden, has come out with a statement, and he did say that he will mobilize 5,000 troops for the urgent Afghan evacuation. So 5,000 troops are being mobilized via Biden's order. This is what Biden said from Camp David. I have authorized the deployment of approximately 5,000 U.S. troops to make sure we can have an orderly and safe drawdown of U.S. personnel and other allied personnel, end quote. That is according to Biden. So the past months of a steady drawdown of U.S. troops, and now the U.S. troops will go right back to Afghanistan to help evacuate Americans trapped in the Green Zone. So in another statement, Biden also defended the rationale for this turn of events in Afghanistan with this statement, and I quote, America went to Afghanistan 20 years ago to defeat the forces that attacked this country on September 11th. That mission resulted in the death of Osama bin Laden over a decade ago and the degradation of Al-Qaeda. On a side note, We have not seen a degradation of al-Qaeda. Barack Obama was actually working with and funding al-Qaeda in Syria, but that's on a side note. And bin Laden was not killed in Afghanistan. He was actually killed in Pakistan, but whatever. Let's continue with Biden's statement. Quote, and yet 10 years later, when I became president, a small number of U.S. troops still remained on the ground in harm's way, with a looming deadline to withdraw them or go back to open combat. Over our centuries, 20 years at war in Afghanistan, America has sent its finest young men and women, invested nearly $1 trillion, trained over 300,000 Afghan soldiers and police, equipped them with state-of-the-art military equipment, which, by the way, has now been taken by the Taliban for free, and maintained their air force as part of the longest war in history. 1 more year or 5 more years of U.S. military presence would not have made a difference if the Afghan military cannot or will not hold its own country. And an endless American presence in the middle of another country's civil conflict was not acceptable to me. So that was the statement from U.S. President Joe Biden vacationing in Camp David. So this entire debacle, or what appears to be a debacle, is all on Biden. This is all on Biden, and it's all on his administration. They own this. Remember, the U.S. had a May 1st timetable withdrawal as part of an agreement the Trump administration made with the Taliban in February 2020. Under that deal, the U.S. agreed to withdraw all its forces. And in exchange, the Taliban promised to sever its ties with al-Qaeda and end its attacks on American forces. In other words, a security guarantee and a face-saving exit for America. All of this under Trump's deal, his May 1st deal. The Taliban then called on President-elect Biden to honor that U.S. agreement and withdraw all American forces from Afghanistan by May 1st. And this is, according to the Taliban, withdraw by May 1st in order to secure, once again, this is from the Taliban, to secure intra-Afghan peace talks and end the 2-decade-long war. So the Taliban told Biden, honor that deal, and we will have intra-Afghan peace talks. Mohammed Naeem, a senior spokesperson in the Taliban's political office in Doha, said at the time, this is what he said to Biden, steps must now be taken to end the war, not prolong it, and the agreement was made for this purpose. The lack of complete implementation of the agreement can affect the ongoing process of negotiations. This is coming from a Taliban official in Doha. The Taliban were clear, and they warned Biden numerous times, honor the May 1st agreement, or else we will take the country by force. Look, Trump, for his part, he understood that Afghanistan was a corrupt mess and a lost cause. And he knew that sooner or later the Taliban were going to take control. So he negotiated a face-saving way out for the United States. And he also perhaps negotiated a peaceful transition for the Afghan people via an intra-Afghan peace talk. Once again, the Taliban's words, an intra-Afghan peace talk. So why did Biden and the White House decide not to honor the May 1st deal? Well, the first reason is because Trump made it. They can never give the orange man a win, even if it meant a giant loss for the U.S. and the Afghan people. Think about it. Trump made a deal on May 1st. Biden comes in and says, no can do. We won't withdraw our forces by May 1st. But how about September 11th? As if 4 months was going to magically make a difference to the withdrawal agreement or the withdrawal plan. 4 months. So they come up with this September 11th date. This was a dumb PR stunt, September 11th. A dumb PR stunt from probably the dumbest White House communications department in history. Pure stupidity all around. But remember, Orange Man is bad, Orange Man must not get a win no matter what. So we're not going to honor May 1st, and we're going to pull this September 11th stunt. Just complete stupidity on all sides. There might be another thing going on here. Biden, we know, is not calling the shots. We know that 90% of the time, maybe 99% of the time, Biden has no clue what the hell he's even saying. I mean, he's given a script. He reads that script. The press, well, they've been trained to not ask any questions. They just kind of applaud at the fact that Biden can string together a full sentence. And then they just move on to discussing stuff like pronouns, racism, CRT, the insurrection that sent AOC to get therapy, whatever. That's pretty much the routine now that we're seeing via the Biden White House and the media. So whoever did decide to concoct this withdrawal plan is either completely stupid and incompetent. Enter perhaps the Obama-controlled Susan Rice Harris wing of the Biden White House, or the people that concocted this plan, maybe or the people that concocted this plan are cunning and clever because they're making Biden look bad. They're making America look bad. And they're pulling back resources from these used up, overdone wars in order to go for the big prize, the Great Reset. Build back better. That could be going on. So if this Afghanistan plan was launched by the Obama wing, then they did it with the belief and the typical Obama hubris that they know better than Trump. Their September withdrawal is a better date than May 1st. Remember, Obama is always right and everyone else is always wrong. Should things get a little messed up in their September 11th plan, well, no problem. No problem at all. They understand the Taliban's threats, and they understand that the Taliban may actually make good on those threats if they break Trump's deal. Well, for Obama and the Obama faction, it's no problem because all of the blame can go on to Sleepy Joe. Remember, Kamala's going off to Vietnam to announce that America's back in Vietnam. So all of this just rests on the shoulders of Sleepy Joe. He gets the blame. And it makes the Harris, or maybe the Michelle transition that much easier. Now, what if this withdrawal and the breaking of the Trump deal was something much more clever and sinister? What if this entire debacle was expected, if not engineered? The US appears to be in retreat, but the American military pulling back from Afghanistan, and what I soon expect to be pulling back from other foreign adventures like Ukraine, Iraq, maybe Syria, is actually less of a retreat and more of a reload for a big push to this new world order, the Great Reset, build back better. The elites have used up Afghanistan, Ukraine, Iraq. I mean, they've completely used these regions up, these countries up, about as much as you can use up a country. They made trillions, they laundered, they stole, just about everything. I mean, they left the house and they took the damn doors and the hinges on their way out. There was nothing left. And compared to the Great Reset, I think Afghanistan, Syria, Iraq, Ukraine, small potatoes, small freaking potatoes. So the globalist elite, they're going to pull back their resources, reorganize, and relaunch the push for global domination, or at least take control of the West, the Americas, Europe, Oceania, etc. Remember, the big prize is, quote, "You will own nothing and be happy." And seizing the world's property and all of the world's resources, it's going to need the globalists' full freaking attention. So Afghanistan is a distraction for them at this moment. And when you come to think about it, a bumbled up US withdrawal, an embarrassing withdrawal from Afghanistan, actually kind of helps the globalists in a way. It diminishes the United States. It diminishes America's morale. It diminishes America's psyche. And they need that. The globalists need that because, as we've seen from day one, when Biden took office, whether you're talking about the border, whether you're talking about the coup, whether you're talking about CRT, the insurrection, whatever it is, right? America has to be torn down from all aspects, from all sides. And it has to be relaunched as something new, a piece of this new global reset regime, right? America now is just another piece to this globalist world domination puzzle. So the Afghanistan US withdrawal, a disaster? Yeah, but it's a sign that the globalists are about to get serious and focused in their Build Back Better plan. And the potato head in the White House, well, he's serving his purpose perfectly. That's the video, guys. Go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch, 10% off, use the code REALNEWS, and please go to the Duran.locals.com. You will find that link down below. Super U, Odyssey, BitChute, and Rumble is where you will find all our videos. Check us out there. Take care.